If you've been watching the headlines about the housing market and wondering whether now is the right time to buy or sell or just wait, this video is for you. Today I'm breaking down the final January 2026 multiple listing service numbers for Southern California. I'm including Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties, and I'm going to explain what's actually happening, not just what the headlines want you to believe. Oh, and by the way, if you're new here, my name is Medina. I'm a local realtor here in Southern California. On this channel, I break down real market data, but I also share neighborhood tours, new construction updates, relocation advice, and what it's really like to buy and live here, especially in the Inland Empire. If that kind of honest, local insight is helpful, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future updates. All right, so before we jump into individual stats, it's important to understand the big shift happening right now. The Southern California housing market is no longer extreme. We're not in the panic buying years, and we're also not in the crash. What we're seeing right now instead is normalization. Buyers are thinking again, sellers are competing again, and strategy matters more than timing. Once you understand that, the rest of the data starts to make a lot more sense. All right, let's start with inventory because this sets the tone for everything else. Across Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties, active listings are higher than they were January of last year. We're also seeing more new listings coming onto the market. Now, this doesn't mean that demand disappeared. It means buyers finally have options. And this is something I talk about time and time again in my neighborhood tours and relocation videos, is that the experience can feel completely different depending on where you're buying. So for example, you can be buying in a newer area of Rancho Cucamonga, and that little pocket can sell faster and can sell for above listed price with multiple offers. Or you could be in areas like in, let's just say, Ontario, where there's a lot more competition and you don't have multiple offers. Maybe you get one offer in 30, 40, 50 days because they're sitting longer. And most of the time, if you're receiving offers, you're going to accept something that's closer to the list price, and therefore you're going to sell it, more than likely sell it lower. So when buyers have options, the behavior changes. They slow down, they compare homes, and they negotiate, and that shows up in the next set of numbers. All right, the buyer activity here. Even with more homes for sale, pending sales, and closed sales are holding up compared to last year. That's a really important point because it tells us buyers didn't just leave the market, they adapted. Instead of rushing and waiving contingencies, buyers today are doing their inspections, asking for credits, and walking away from deals that don't make any sense. And we did see a lot of this in December of 2025, where a lot of homes went into escrow, and a lot of them, just either withdrew from the escrow for reasons, maybe they didn't get what they were wanting as far as repairs, or it could be a lot of things. But we did experience a lot of escrows that fell off in the month of December of 2025. And I'm also seeing this firsthand with buyers I'm working with, and in the relocation content I share. The buyers who come in prepared tend to do the best. And quick reminder, guys, if this breakdown is helpful so far, hit that like button. It really helps this video reach more people who want honest market information. All right, median sales price trends. Now let's talk about prices because this is where emotions run high. When we look at median sales prices across Southern California, prices are largely holding steady. We're not seeing a crash, and we're not seeing runaway appreciation either. Coastal counties like Los Angeles and Orange are flatter, while Riverside and San Bernardino are holding up better thanks to affordability. This tells us demand is still there, especially in price ranges where buyers feel they're getting real value. Another stat I pay close attention to is the percentage of original list price that homes are selling for. Homes are still selling close to asking price, but not automatically anymore. That's a big shift from a few years ago. What this means in real life is that buyers can, and they are, asking for closing cost credits, repair allowances, or price adjustments, especially on homes that sit on the market longer. And a quick example for this is that if a home is listed for $800,000 and it actually sells for $800,000, we're at 100% of the list price. If it sells over, we're over 100%. And of course, if it sells lower, we're going to be lower than 100. And for all four counties right now, what I've seen is that they're all averaging at about 97% of the list price. So they're still selling very close to that list price. Again, it's very important that when you put your home on the market, study the market up until the day that you're going to list it, and make sure that the price is strategically correct so you can generate more offers. And this is something I've been pointing out in my recent listing and new construction videos. Well-priced homes still sell, but aspirational pricing is the fastest way to go stale. Days on market is up across all 4 counties compared to last year. Homes are taking longer to sell. This tells us more about buyer psychology than pricing. We moved from fear of missing out to fear of overlapping. Buyers are cautious, informed, and focused on value. And that's why pricing, presentation, and strategy matter more now than they have in the last few years. All right, so the market balance by county. When we look at months supply, Southern California is closer to a balanced market than it's been in a long time. Orange County still leans seller friendly. Los Angeles is competitive but softening. And Riverside and San Bernardino counties are the closest thing we have right now to a balanced market. That's why buying or selling can feel completely different depending on which county or even which neighborhood you're in. All right, so what does this information all mean for buyers? If you're a buyer in 2026, this is one of the healthiest markets we've seen in years. You have more choices, more time, and more negotiation power, but the good homes are still going to move fast. The key is preparation. The buyers who understand the numbers and move with a plan tend to win. What does this mean for sellers? If you're a seller, homes are still selling, but expectations need to be realistic. Overpricing is the fastest way to lose momentum. Homes priced at fair market value are still selling cleanly. In this market, strategy beats timing every single time. One other key note, if you start with a price that you feel confident with your agent, and in a week or two you go from several showings to 0, that should tell you that the home is priced incorrectly, and you must drop the price to something that's going to generate more traffic and therefore generate more offers to you. So make sure that you're sitting with your realtor and strategizing on the number that's going to get you that traffic. All right, if you want monthly market updates, neighborhood breakdowns, and honest guidance on buying or selling here in Southern California, make sure you subscribe and have that notification turned on. All right, so I hope all these numbers made sense, and I want to close with this. The biggest mistake people make is relying on national headlines that don't reflect what's happening locally. If you want to know how this market impacts your neighborhood, your price range, or your goals, call or text me directly at 909-374-4260 or visit my website. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.